Welcome back to another video. This one is a little bit different. This one is actually talking about my pre-admission testing for my craniotomy. So if you guys missed the first video where I explain everything about my surgery, why I need the surgery, how this came about, I will link it up in a card because I do think it's kind of important information to know the context of where this video is coming from. But I actually wanted to sit down and make this video because there wasn't a whole lot of information on YouTube or really the internet at large for what is involved in pre-admission testing, or the PAT. So I thought I would just make this video talking through everything that was included in mine, what it looked like, so that hopefully if any of you are in the same position and you are having a craniotomy or really any sort of procedure or surgery, that hopefully this is helpful. So as I mentioned before, I am having a right temporal craniotomy. So everything that I am talking about in this video is going to be through the lens of that particular surgery and also my specific experience. So I know that everybody's experience is going to be different, so yours might look completely different than mine, but I really didn't have anything going into mine. I really couldn't find much at all about what they were going to be doing, so I just thought something's better than nothing, but do take it with a grain of salt that if you are going through this same experience, that it still may be completely different than mine. The other disclaimer I want to make in this video is that I am not a medical professional, I'm not a doctor, not a nurse, not anywhere in that field, so everything that I'm telling you was through what I experienced, and if I mispronounce anything or say anything wrong, I apologize. I'm just doing my best to convey what was told to me. Let's get into my pre-admission testing. So I guess before the actual appointment started, it was with scheduling. My specific testing day was scheduled through my neurosurgeon's office. So we set the appointment for the pre-admission testing, for the surgery, and then also for a post-op appointment all around the same time. And they wanted it to be around a week from the pre-admission testing to my actual surgery day. So my specific one was 6 days before my surgery, and I kind of liked that because I felt like it was enough time in between that if we needed to retest anything, or if we just, you know, there was a little bit of room for give and take, which I liked. So mine was, like I said, 6 days before, and my appointment took about an hour and a half, which was honestly longer than I expected. So my first tip for if you're going to a pre-admission testing is to pad yourself with plenty of time. So don't plan any appointments or like meetings or anything closely behind it because it may take longer than expected. With my specific testing, it actually wasn't very busy in the office, which I was super grateful for. So mine ran pretty smoothly, like one thing went into the next, but I can imagine if it's a busy day and they have a lot of people going at once, it would take even longer. So an hour and a half was kind of my like minimum time. So if you're waiting in between each step, it would take even longer than that. So plan ahead and plan lots of time for your appointment. From like looking back at the appointment and with everything that went on with it, I would say there are really 3 different like stages of things that we did. So we did the testing, obviously like the physical testing of things to make sure that my body's in a good place to go into the surgery. We talked about like medical history and current medications, and then we talked about more of the physical logistics of the surgery, so like where it's gonna be, how to get there, the timing, pre-op stuff like the night before, we talked about all of that. And then we also did lots of paperwork, so things like consent forms, living will, all of the like things that you just have to sign legally. So we did a lot of that stuff as well. So that was kind of an overview. Now I'll go more in depth of what it actually entailed. The beginning of my appointment, they actually took me back early. I was there about 15 minutes early, and I went back 10 or 12 minutes before my appointment time, which I thought was great. It gave me a kickstart into the appointment, and I am always happy when I can go in early and get things started. So the first place when I was called back to the appointment, we went to a administration office, and we went through all of the like insurance things, make sure that my name, date of birth, all that stuff was correct. They gave me a fancy schmancy wristband that basically looked exactly like the ones they gave you in the hospital to like verify that, you know, you are you and that they're testing the proper things for each person. So I got my wristband, and then they also talked just through all of the like computer information that they had and double check that it was correct before we moved on to the actual testing phase. So that took probably 5 minutes. It was really quick. As soon as we were done in the administration office, I was walked to the like normal doctor's office. So it was just where the nurse would come in and do all the testing and stuff. So that room, it was the bulk of the time that I was there. And we went ahead and jumped right into the physical testing phases. So it started with like your normal vitals that they take at like a doctor's appointment. So it was like blood pressure, heart rate, they did height, weight, all that kind of stuff. Just, you know, like your average doctor's appointment. And then because of my specific test that I'm having done, they wanted to make sure that all of my numbers and vitals were good going into it, and that there wasn't anything that they needed to have specific treatment for. So I did a urine test, a blood draw, and there was a malaria test as well. So I will get into that later because it's quite an interesting story. So yeah, the urine test was first. It was really easy to do. And the nurse lady was like gathering all my paperwork and stuff to get the test started. So she's like, if you want to just go ahead and go do your urine test quickly, and then we can get started with everything else. And then we sat down and we're talking with the nurse. She was going through all of like my medical history, all the current medications that I'm on, just kind of again confirming everything in the computer was correct and that there wasn't anything that needed to be updated. And then a few minutes into that, another nurse came in and she did the blood draw. And it was interesting because she actually drew quite a bit of blood and it was pretty efficient. So I have what my family calls like vanishing veins, which is where they're just really hard to find. And so every time I go into a medical facility, I like let them know ahead of time my veins are really hard to find, which is ironic because my skin is like paper thin, so you would think it would be easy to find them. You would be wrong. So it's like an average for me for it to take between 3 and 6 sticks to get a vein, which is stinky in my current situation, but it is what it is. So I let her know that ahead of time. I'm like, you may have some trouble, like just letting you know, so be prepared for that. And I think it only took her like 2 pokes, so that was pretty good. And then she took so much blood. I want to say it was like 6 or 7 vials because they were preparing for lots of different things. They were testing lots of different things. And yeah, it was quite a bit. I actually have like a gnarly bruise and stuff right now. It actually looks much better today because this is a few days after. So I got this weird rash on my arm, which I think was from either the Band-Aid that she put over or like the cotton ball that she put on it. It was one of those things, but I literally had like a red rash all the way around it. So I did message them back after that and let them know that I was allergic to whatever that was, because hopefully they don't give me that in the hospital. And then this was the false poke, was like this little bruise situation going on. And then you can see a little bit of the rash still left. I don't know if you're gonna see it on the camera. A little bit of the rash left from the Band-Aid. So my arm kind of freaked out after that. It was really itchy, but thankfully it's gone down now. But I'm super excited. If this was after one blood draw, I just can't wait to see what my arms look like after surgery. Like, it's gonna look like I went through a battlefield or something. But yeah, so that happened. But as far as the draw itself went, it was really quick. And then the lady who took my blood also did the malaria test. And she didn't really explain why. She was just said like, oh, it shows on your paper that we need to do a malaria test as well, which is a swab test. It honestly is very reminiscent of a COVID test. If you've had one of those, I'm sure everybody has by this point. I'm sure everybody has had a COVID test by this point, but it was like a long swab that they put up in both nostrils, and then they like seal it and send it off. Unfortunately though, my least favorite part of this entire appointment was whatever like fluid that they had on the swabs literally smelled so awful. And I've had like, you know, a decent amount of testing in my life, and this was so gross. It honestly smelled like rotting food. And because it went in both like sides of my nose, and then I had to put my face mask back on after that, that smell literally lingered with me for like 30 minutes. So that was not pleasant. And I was really confused like why they were doing a malaria test, just because I'd never heard of that before. But I found out through like research later that I guess like they're testing for that pretty commonly now because the symptoms for malaria are pretty similar to the symptoms for COVID. So they test everyone when they come in for procedures for both of those things, just to see like, I guess it's hard to like diagnose one from the other. So they just do both. And I was like, okay, so that happened. Yeah, it was interesting, and yeah, just really weird like turn of events, but I was like, okay, whatever. So we did all of those tests, and then we were more into like the paperwork part of things. So after the nurse left from doing all of the testing, another nurse came in, and she was from internal medicine. So she was the one that actually works in the hospital building that I'm going to be having my surgery at. The place where they were doing this pre-admission testing wasn't actually in the hospital. It was like a side clinic area. So it was completely different set of nurses, completely different administration, all of that. It's connected to the hospital, but it's like a different place. So this lady does work in the hospital and came to talk about all of the medications and everything that were gonna be happening through the surgery. So I did really like that she was there. She was super knowledgeable. Again, she just confirmed like all of my information, all of my medical history, medications that I was on, all of that kind of stuff. And then I was able to ask questions about the medications that they were going to give me during the surgery, which I really appreciated because I felt like that was the first time I'd gotten to actually talk to someone from the hospital. So she was really great, super kind. And I did make sure to let her know that I needed nausea medication during the surgery, after the surgery, through the whole hospital stay, that I most likely will need nausea medication through my IV, because my #1 symptom when I have my really bad migraine attacks is nausea. And oftentimes my nausea gets so severe that it leads to vomiting, even if, you know, my stomach, I like to joke my stomach's not involved, but my body's like first response is like, empty the stomach. So oftentimes, even like if I haven't eaten, or if I have eaten, it literally doesn't matter. My body will get rid of whatever's in my stomach. So I wanted to make sure that that was like completely, that has been clear that I'm going to need that. I really do not want to be post brain surgery and then be like puking all over the hospital bed. So I confirmed with her, so she put a special note on my form to make sure that the nausea medication is there, and then I also confirmed that with my surgeon as well. So hopefully between those two, everybody will know nausea medication is important. So after she left, it was also really sweet. The lady that was from internal medicine, she shared with me that her daughter is actually having very similar symptoms to mine, with the headaches that lead to really weird symptoms that are very sudden, and then they last for a certain period of time and then they go away. And unfortunately in her case, they haven't been able to find anything yet, but through all of the testing and everything. So she is in my prayers. If you are praying people out there and you would like to pray for this nurse's daughter, I would really appreciate that as well. Just because I know I have a very small understanding of what it's like to not know, and I know that so many people are in that situation where they don't know what's wrong, but the symptoms are so strong and overwhelming that my heart goes out to her. So I was able to kind of bond with that nurse, and I just told her that I would be praying for her daughter that they would be able to find an answer and have a cure for it. One thing that the internal medicine lady did let me know is we went through all of the medications that I'm currently on. All of them were fine for me to continue taking them even through and post the surgery. The one thing that she said to stop taking is a multivitamin. I just take like a woman's multivitamin every single day, just to kind of help my body to have the vitamins that it needs. So that was the one thing they said, just stop taking for about the week leading up to the surgery so that you're not like spiking your numbers accidentally or anything like that. So I did stop taking that as well. So the nurse that was with us the whole time, who was doing all of the paperwork stuff, after the internal medicine lady left, we started talking about logistics of the actual procedure. So where it was going to be, how to get there. The specific surgery that I am having is really painfully early in the morning. I have to be there at like 5:30 a.m. And it's quite a drive from where I live, so it's going to be a really rough morning for sure. So she helped us know exactly where to go and what door to go to, all of that kind of stuff, where the parking garage was, all of that good stuff. So that was really helpful. We have a printed out map, which is great. I love maps. They're just really helpful, especially when it's really early in the morning and you just woke up, you know what I'm saying? So that was super helpful. And then we also talked through pre-op stuff. So for the morning of the surgery, I'm supposed to fast from midnight to that morning, which really is not that long. So I feel like, you know, no worries there. And then there was something else. Oh, the soap. So they did give us some pre-op soap as well. They also gave me what I'm calling my pre-op goodie bag. I love it. Not really, but it was just a little bag that they gave us everything in. And by like the paperwork and all of that kind of boring stuff. But this is the shampoo that I was given. So I guess it's a pretty standard thing for surgeries and stuff, that they give you like an antimicrobial, you know what I mean, soap that you can take a shower with the night before and then the morning of, just to make sure that everything is nice and clean, and that there's no like bacteria or anything, so that you're in the prime position to go into your surgery. What I think is hilarious with this, so this is the soap that they gave us. I don't think the brand matters, but like that's what it looks like. And I guess everybody gets this when you go into a surgery. You're supposed to use like half of it the night before, half of it the morning of, just to make sure that everything is like nice and clean. But what's funny about it is the soap that they gave us, you're only supposed to use it like from your shoulders down. So you're not supposed to touch like your head, neck, face, anything like that, because it's, I guess, really powerful and it could like give you an allergic reaction or something. You just don't want to use it in like sensitive areas. But I just thought it was ironic because they gave me this soap to clean everything from the shoulders down, and I'm having a head surgery. So I was like, okay, like this area may not be clean, but the rest of me is gonna be sparkling. So love that. But I guess, you know, they'll clean everything once I get there anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I just thought that was funny. So I got the soap, she explained everything. There's a fancy checklist that I have to write down when I showered and all of that kind of stuff to make sure that everything's in order. And then I'm supposed to bring that paper with me to the surgery as well. That was, I think, pretty much everything that we went over. They said like if you take medication in the morning, you can still take your medications, just take it with like 1 sip of water. Don't eat or drink anything else around that medication. Just to, you know, try to be as clean going into the surgery as possible. And then the final part of the appointment was just signing paperwork. So signing like the understanding of what's going to be happening, signing that my surgeon is the one that I want to do it, like all of the consent forms for like everything. And yeah, signing that I did like the testing and all of that kind of stuff. And then that was pretty much it. Like after that, like signing all the million papers, they did take my vitals again at the end because I think my heart rate was a little bit elevated at the beginning of the appointment. So then they just double checked it again at the end to make sure that I was good, which I was, so we're good to go with that. But yeah, so they took my vitals again at the end before I left, and then that was pretty much it. So like I said, it was about an hour and a half total. It was a lot of just like, you know, step-by-step kind of things. There was a lot of people asking kind of the same questions, but making sure that everybody had it on all of their charts and everything like that. So I'd much rather have everybody have the information than nobody have the information. So I thought it went well. you know, relatively, so that was good. And then the other thing that I did want to mention from this point was that I do also have to have a COVID test done, and they didn't do it at this place, which I thought was really interesting. It's a separate place, separate appointment, and that one actually is going to happen later than this appointment, so they wanted it done like 42 to 78 hours before the surgery. So I'll just go to do like a drive-in COVID test, and then they wanted it in the same time frame as the surgery, which makes sense. So that will be done later, like I said, 48 to 72 hours before the procedure, just going to do a drive-in COVID test. And then the specific hospital system that I'm in, which I think most hospitals have it by now anyways, the like patient like web page things where you have like an account and then they post all your test results and stuff to it. I personally am a huge fan of these. I've had one like for years now, just with every appointment and everything that I've done, but it's really helpful because I love getting to see my test results and kind of do research on my own, and I think it's really cool that I can see all of that. And I will say from this pre-appointment, the test results came back so quickly. So I had my appointment at like 9:30 in the morning, and by like 5 p.m. that night, all of my test results were uploaded to this like account. So I was like, this is awesome. So I was able to see that my blood levels, my urine test, and all of that came back really good. All of my numbers are nice and good. And I also found out in that, in like the blood panels that they did like 6 or 7 different tests of all these kind of things. And from what I can tell, they all came back really good because they give you like a standard range of like what's normal and then your numbers. And I'm happy with my numbers. I feel like they look good. Obviously, once I talk to like my doctor or surgeon or whatever, I can know a little bit more, but I think I did good. So I thought it was great that they got the testing through really quickly, because I've been places where it takes like a week and a half and you still don't have your results. So I was impressed with the speed at which this place processed my testing. So that's it. I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. I know that it's like kind of a random video, but like I said, I just hope that if someone else is going through something that like I am, that this is helpful, gives a little bit of information on what to expect, because I would have loved to have watched a video like this before I went to do my pre-admission testing. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because like I said, I will be having a surgery very soon here, and I will be filming videos of all of the recovery and everything post-surgery as well. So if you would like to join on this journey with me, please hit that subscription button and hit the notification bell so that you know when a new video comes up. And I hope you have a great day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!